We're going to start our meeting of the Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission on September 1st, 2022. We will start by approving the August 4th, 2022 minutes of the meeting. Have you all had a chance to read them? If not, Garrett is putting them up right now on the screen. You can read them. Once you've read them or you've read them before this evening, if you could just kind of raise your hand and let me know, and then we'll vote on them. Great, thanks, Steve. Ann, thank you. Have you had a chance to read the minutes,
Yes.
Barbara? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you very much. All in favor of approving the minutes of August, is this August 4th?
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
thank you. August 4th,
Sorry.
2022. No, my bad. Please
I so
indicate.
move.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the approval of the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Abstentions? No, great. Minutes approved. All right. Next, we are going to go back to the agenda. Thank you, Garrett.
No problem.
Wonderful. We're going to have a public hearing for a certificate of appropriateness for 1773 Farmington Avenue to add a fence gate over the driveway. And Vilma Sanchez, one of the owners, is here to present that proposal to us.
Great. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I just need to move my screen a little bit here. Okay. So we purchased this property in November 2019. At the time, I was expecting, and so a key selling point to buying this house on the Farmington River was the fact that there was a fence going around the property. The previous owners had installed a black chain link fence around the rear perimeter, of the property. And the only thing that is missing is a gate across the driveway. They were using a driveway guard. It's kind of just like a flimsy kind of material that would go across. We have been using a long metal pet gate that we have affixed to go across, but it's not very strong. It's not very sturdy. In the instances that we do not have the gate up, say one of us is not home, we have several cars that come down the narrow driveway in order to turn around to go back onto Route 4. And we have also had several large delivery vehicles that have also started to go down the driveway in order to turn around. We have had our property damaged twice now. One of them was a FedEx truck, which ultimately did reimburse us because we caught it on camera. But one of them was an unknown car that we have not been able to recoup the damage that they caused. And also the way that the driveway is set up, it is very narrow, so you don't see anybody coming off of the porch. And I was stepping off of the porch. As you can see right there where the bushes are to the left, I was stepping off of the porch and a car was coming down the driveway, and I was holding my 2-month-old baby at the time and was almost run over. Thankfully, I only had 1 foot down before I stepped back. And so those instances, in addition to our son being very creative in ways to try to get down the driveway, have caused us to want to install a permanent solution. And in the form of a center open black chain link gate. And so what we would like to do is right where the house juts out, we would like to extend a little bit of the existing fence and then enclose it with the gate. We believe that due to the height of the house and the orientation in relation to the sun in that west side of the house, that it would effectively hide the appearance of the fence, and it will be 51 feet away from the sidewalk.
Very good. Thank you. Comments from commissioners, please.
Well,
Could we go back to see like the layout of where exactly that is? Yes, okay, gotcha, thank you.
And if you scroll down a little bit, if you look at the actual picture of the house, it would be right where it juts out across there.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the beginning. Yes, correct. In the second part, yes. Across the back, behind that bush.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good.
I think black is a good color choice because it'll just kind of disappear visually.
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the property you said does have a black chain link fence?
Correct. And in
Okay.
fact, actually on the other side of the property, there is a black chain link fence that connects so that it would really only be, you know, basically exactly where we want to set it up on the opposite side. It's
Mhm.
already enclosed in, just a little bit further back, and you
Okay.
can't really see it from the road.
Right, right.
Good.
Yeah, because that's kind of modern, but if you already have a fence like that, and this is just a continuation, I don't have a
Correct.
problem with it. Something has to be done to make it safer for you and your family. I mean, that's obvious.
And that really is our ultimate goal, is that the amount of cars that try to turn in the driveway and then they realize how narrow it is, so they have to go all the way back. And then that's where we run into all of our issues.
Wow. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? No. It's my feeling that it's a necessity for security purposes. And the fact that it matches your existing black fencing makes sense. I do believe the location of the new gate is far enough back so that it doesn't affect the appearance of the house from the street. So
How high is the fence gonna be?
It's a 4 foot high 4 foot high fence to match the rest of the
Okay.
fence.
I see, yeah,
Thank you, Bob.
any other thoughts or questions from commissioners? We feel ready to vote on this?
Can I just ask another question? I see
Yeah.
that there's two different pictures of fencing in what was sent out. One of them has, it looks like it's a different size, but it has those things in the middle, and the other one doesn't. So is this going to look more like the one or the other?
I think this is a 4 foot fence. And
That-
without the
that-
bar.
Yeah.
That's correct. That would be the center open gate. That was the closest image that Cape Cod Fence provided to us. That would be similar to what we're planning on having installed on the driveway.
Because that one looks a little bit nicer, I think, than those big things across in the middle on the other one, you know, that kind of looks prison-ish, you know?
Yes, no,
Agree.
yeah, it's not. It won't have the center bar like that. It's gonna look more like the previous picture.
Yeah.
I think if you scroll up or down, it's more
That's
similar to that
a
one.
little more welcoming, you know?
Yeah, we don't want people coming down the driveway. We also don't want prison issue either.
Correct.
You want your son to get the wrong ideas. Not
We
yet,
don't want
anyway.
behind, we don't want him behind bars, no.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Very good. All right, I sense that we're ready for a vote. Would someone like to make a motion? Steve?
I move that we go ahead with
Public hearing?
how do you say this? That's why I never do these anymore.
You're doing great. The certificate of the application certificate of appropriation.
Yeah.
Appropriateness, excuse me.
Yeah, we just need to ask if there's any public comments first.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
If there's anyone on the call that would like to speak for or against the application, please use the raise hand function, and we can allow you to talk. All right, and I don't see any hands.
All right. Can Anne's motion still stand?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. All right. Can I have a second on that motion,
I
please?
second the motion.
Thank you, Barbara. All right, all those, any more discussion about this proposal? No? All right, all those in favor of approving this COA application, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. All right, your proposal's approved.
Thank you
Wonderful.
very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
See
He
you
always
soon.
comes first.
Really appreciate
Now,
it.
would you like Bob and I to stay on for the rest
No.
of the meeting?
You can sign off.
You can sign off.
Wonderful. I have a toddler to put to bed. Thank you so much.
Do it.
All right.
See you around. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
good
very
night.
much.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Good job, everybody. Good. That was an easy
Uh,
one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, we'll move on to other business now, and we have our town planner, Shannon, here to talk to us about 75 South Main Street, the Unionville Pocket Park, and some exciting new plans for that park. So take it away, Shannon.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see everybody. I don't get to see all of you on a regular basis anymore. Garrett, if you could first put up the site plan for me, that would be great. That's okay. Perfect. So many of you, hopefully you had a chance to read some of the info that was emailed out to you in preparation for the meeting, but I will just do a brief summary as to get everybody up to speed, and for those that perhaps didn't get a chance to read it in advance. You may recall that in November, we had a joint meeting of the ADRC and Unionville Historic District Commission to discuss wayfinding signs within Unionville, particularly at the crosswalk where the trail is, and then this area here where the pocket park is at 75 South Main Street, that is now all green, and we've got the sidewalk through since we've finished the construction for New Britain Avenue. During the meeting, Rose Ponte and Bruce Sear presented the consultant's preliminary drawings for wayfinding signs, informational kiosk, and public art. We do have that presentation available this evening if we need to go back and reference it, but the purpose of tonight is to start to move forward. We've taken that since that meeting. You'll recall there was discussion on the wayfinding signs, and there was a consensus to proceed through for the wayfinding signs to use the base and pole that match the lamps, the light poles down through Unionville, so there's a consistent appearance. There was some discussion on the kiosk, some limited discussion, and then more detailed discussion about public art, but there was no consensus reached about that. And that was back in November 2021. And I had included the meeting minutes from that meeting to refresh everyone's memory. Since then, Rose has been very industrious and was successful in securing an AARP grant for improvements to the Pocket Park. And you'll see on the diagram, the site plan before you, there's a location for 2 benches, and there is a location for a bike rack, which is in the southern portion. And then there is a location for a kiosk, informational kiosk. The wayfinding signs will be located off of this particular sheet, again, up by where the trail crosses 177. So off to, it would be page left from what we're looking at here. So with all of this and with securing the grant, of course, with everything, there's rights and responsibilities. So part of the benefit to us is the ability to use the money to get improvements put in place. The benches and bike rack will all be black painted black and powder coated. The benches will look like other benches that are throughout Unionville, and the one up the hill with the new sidewalk where we have the landing partway up 177. So those are all standard materials that we have a vendor for that we work with for these items. The kiosk then becomes the last item and focus of discussion. With all of this and having the grant, the money has to be used by the end of the year. And we are right now targeting a ribbon cutting ceremony in November. Part of that was, again, AARP is providing the funds, so they want some promotion from this as well. So it's kind of a two-way street with that. So Garrett, if you could pull up the presentation, yes, please. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to drop to the bottom where the wayfinding signs are. I'm gonna work my way backwards through this. So this is where the trail crosses. On your screen, you'll see where the trail cross. The 2 yellow dots are the locations for the wayfinding signs. And Garrett, if you'll scroll down, yep, or up, okay. I had the wrong direction, thank you. This is what the wayfinding signs are going to look like. And so this is basically a construction sketch. There's a foundation at the bottom that'll be underground. The pole base will match our light poles. This is showing fluted. We've gone back and looked at photos. Our light poles are not fluted. So, but there is some ornamentation in that there's differing dimensions and collars at the base of that pole, and then just a straight black steel pole. And the height shown in the graphic was taller than what we ultimately are going to need. So we're going to drop that down, and it's going to help just with the scale and the line of sight for this, so that folks on the trail can readily see it, identify where they need to be, and just make it very, very easy and user friendly. So that matches, and that does match what we had talked about in December. Garrett, would you mind going back up to the kiosk design for me? That's perfect right there. So the kiosk design that's on the screen is close to what SLR had done in their preliminary design drawings and their planning sketches, and it does replicate what was shared with you folks in November. And again, we can bring that up if anyone's interested. The idea is to have the kiosk provide a map and also some directional information similar to the directional signs. And you'll recall we talked about having a QR code to help. So the map will actually, you can scan in the QR code, just like many of us are having to do now at restaurants in order to even place an order. But the QR code then will bring the map up live on their phone or tablet that they happen to have with them. Most of them will be phone, but they'll bring up a live map that will then link to Rose's map that she has on Explore Farmington, which details all of our local businesses and points of interest. So, and then there'll be a spot for a little info panel, kind of a what about Unionville. And then there's also just some panels that will have, funding, kiosk provided courtesy of funding from AARP, things like that.
Mhm.
We've gone back and forth as to whether or not we want the kiosk to be two-sided informational or have just the one side facing the benches be informational and the side facing the intersection have the welcome to Unionville. We're not married to necessarily either one, whether it's two-sided informational or one informational and one welcome to Unionville. Certainly understanding that it's welcoming you into the business section of Unionville, but not the limits, the actual village limits of Unionville.
Yep.
You see my notations on here in red are just some things that as we've gone through trying to figure out scale and height and massing. So there's some notations here and thoughts on what I think might be helpful to change. And there is, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the bridge on top, but if you folks and ADRC are, then we can certainly go that way. My preference was for something more simplistic, just a straight bar across the top, keep it cleaner and let the bridge kind of stand on its own. Maybe a little lattice work at the bottom as a nod to the bridge, but not a replication of the bridge. But that's what we're looking at. Garrett, would you mind going back to the site plan for me? Yes. So again, in the center is the kiosk, and we then worked with the sidewalk. The loop sidewalk is already there, and there's already two knockouts for the bench. And as we started to lay this out, we realized that if we have a sidewalk come in from the intersection up to the kiosk, we need to provide fully accessible pedestrian access around the kiosk. I couldn't trap somebody, right? I was thinking of our the residents from New Horizons.
Mhm.
If they came up to the kiosk, they then needed to be able to get around the kiosk. And so then we started playing with circular patterns and all sorts of things. And then all of a sudden I thought, okay, well, we've got how do we maybe tie this and put a nod to Ups and Nut? And thus we created the hexagon pattern. And the thought is to outline that in perhaps some Belgian block and then have the concrete. Again, some of this is going to be pricing too, because we do have the grant. So, but nonetheless, that hexagon pattern as a nod to the Upson company.
That's great.
So that's where that evolved from. So you won't necessarily, it's not a overt, but from an aerial, might be kind of fun and one of those kind of quirky things. And we could also, again, on the kiosk, put a little informational thing there and say, hey, does, as you stand here looking, does it remind you of anything in this pattern? And I'm sure we could have some fun with that if we wanted to. So that's where we are. And we'd love some feedback on the kiosk if there's any thoughts there. And as I said, we're looking to try to keep this train moving. So we're chatting with you this evening, and then we'll be chatting with ADRC. We'll compile those comments and finalize, and then we're going to go to ordering because we have to have the order in October 1st in order to try and hit these deadlines and get everything installed.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. That's exciting.
It is.
Very good. And
Yeah.
congratulations to Rose on the grant. That's wonderful. Terrific.
Yeah, she worked really hard on it.
I bet she did. All right, let's give Shannon all our comments. Who wants to start? Steve, you should start.
They're gonna be lights for people to learn about downtown shopping district at night.
No, there's plenty of ambient light there in the evening because of the street light poles and having Puente right across the street. So between having the restaurant and the other lighting and being right at the intersection, there's plenty of ambient light right there. So no, there's no additional lighting planned with us.
And is that if the informational panel is facing the intersection, or is it gonna be on the riverside?
It should be fine either way, even on the riverside, because there's a street light right there. So it should be fine.
Nice. Yeah. I like it.
Good.
I like it. Yeah.
So
Any
do you-
preference on the top? Do you like it? Do you like the bridge, or would you prefer a plain top?
It's kind of cute.
I like the bridge.
It's kind of cute on top. I kind of like it.
I like it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I do. I do also. I really like the bridge because if you think of Unionville, you think of the bridge. So
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of the
Now-
connector for both sides. Well, is the connector both sides, but I mean, it's, yeah,
Okay.
and it's going to be clean and decent looking when it's all finished. So
Okay,
What,
all right, we
what's
like the
what's
bridge on the top of
reasoning-
the sign. Okay.
What's the reasoning for putting the lattice at the bottom? What's the idea there?
Well, my thought was to not have the bridge on top, use a plain steel frame, and then would have the lattice on the bottom as a, for me, a more subtle nod to the bridge. It would not be both. So it's one or the
Yeah.
other. It's either
Mhm.
plain.
Okay, the other question I had was, the part that says welcome to Unionville, I assume that that's coming, facing up the hill? Is that
Correct.
true?
Correct.
okay,
If we go with the two different sides, yes, the welcome to Unionville would face the intersection and the informational panel would face the benches. Correct.
Could you say,
You want the site plan back up, Ann?
yeah, just for a second. So show me where it's going to,
So,
is it on here?
so there's the kiosk right in the center of the hexagon.
Yeah,
So it's just a straight line because there's not
Yeah.
really a thickness to it. But there's the
Okay.
kiosk. And so the
And the welcome is on
informational
this
panel
side?
would face, sorry, the welcome to Unionville would face the intersection side.
gotcha.
And then the informational panel would be, as Steve said, the riverside, kind of where the two benches are on that side. So the
Okay,
thought
yeah,
would
that
be
makes sense.
it's somewhat visible from those sitting on the benches if they wanted to.
Yeah, that looks good.
What does
would
everybody
be-
think about the welcome to
it was kind of-
Unionville? I'm sorry, Ann, go ahead.
No,
I
just was gonna
like-
say that- I was just gonna say that it would look kind of silly if it was the welcome to Union.
The other side, yeah.
Oh, right.
That's
Agreed.
where Unionville is. Okay, or a lot of it anyway. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on everybody else there.
No.
I like the welcome to Unionville. The only problem is I don't know if you're riding a bike through the area or walking, would you know to turn to go to the other side for information?
And that's one of the thoughts we had.
Yeah.
I guess there's a thought that you might, those that are in the area regularly would know
Right.
to look, but yes, if you are new to the area and passing through, there is the drawback to having it, the welcome to Unionville
Mhm.
on that side.
Yeah.
Who hasn't spoken? So everybody's wanted me. I like the welcome to Unionville. I like it in the location you have it. I think the fact that that sign is not on the boundary of where the village starts really doesn't make any difference. So I think if people are walking or biking, they're going to circle. They're not going to miss the back. And those are the people who are going to be looking at the kiosk anyway. Those driving by, the information on the backside will not be large enough for them to see it, but people will see the welcome to Unionville. So I think that looks terrific.
Well, worst case, you could put some kind of a little like arrow on the bottom, just pointing to the side, and you know, to show people to go around to the back.
Yeah.
That would be a way to do it, I would think.
Yeah, Garrett just sent me a message that pretty much said the same. We can, so at the towards the bottom, so it doesn't detract from the welcome to Unionville, but towards the bottom, say informational kiosk on reverse, something to that reverse side.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think I love the kiosk. I think it's terrific. It's got style, it's got information, it's got a formality to it that I like, even though it's in a casual location. So it's gonna be terrific.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. So this is, I think that touches, so we like the bridge.
Yes.
We like the welcome to Unionville. I think those were the two big questions. And we'll leave the bridge. There'll be no lattice at the bottom. Well, hopefully I'll be sure when we meet with the ADRC that they're clear on the Historic District Commission's wishes on that. If it's up to you, I shied away from doing another joint meeting only because one, it was kind of short notice, and two, it can be difficult to manage all the comments at once. But if one of you wants to attend as a representative from Unionville Historic, so you're part of that conversation as a representative, that meeting is on September, I believe I said September 15th. So that's certainly an opportunity in case you want to have a representative at that meeting.
I think that's a really good idea. As of right, well, I may be, well, is there anybody on the commission who would like to attend on September 15th, the ADRC meeting?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a conflict.
Okay.
Is that going to be in person or?
No, it would be Zoom. Well, yeah. So it will be, ADRC meets in person, but I always have a Zoom aspect of that. They don't have public hearings, so I don't have to have, it allows me to do a hybrid with them easier than I can with any other land use board that requires a public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be decided this evening, so I'd send an email, maybe if everyone checks schedules and see what your availability is for the 15th. And I can even adjust. I do have a couple of things that I'll be chatting with them on, but I can put it at the top of the agenda or move this item down depending upon availability, if it's more convenient particular time for somebody that does want to attend on behalf of the commission.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Shannon. That would be a good thing for us to do as a practice.
Sure.
Good. Great. Good work, everybody.
Thank you very much for the feedback. And Rose is going to be thrilled. She'll be thrilled to know how much you're supportive of this and are enthusiastic, because she's looking forward to having this come to fruition. That's for sure.
She's put a lot of work in.
Yeah, she has for a long time. Optimistically so too. So good. We'll look forward to the ribbon cutting.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Nice seeing you again.
Oh, absolutely. It's good to see all of you. I'll hang out for the rest of it.
Okay. I think we're just, all right. Well, that concludes our discussion of the Pocket Park. We're turning now to the walking tour brochure of Lovely Street, and I know Steve and Ann were working on that together.
I was working on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. Yes. That's my good memory.
Although
Um,
Anne gave me a lot of help.
Good.
So,
At the very beginning.
Tell us,
yeah, but
how's it
I-
going?
right now, Matt is in the process of putting it into brochure form.
Great.
And I think we had said, well, I know we had said that we would just do the 5 district houses because of the expense and the room for the on the brochure. Of course, we did find, Steve and I worked on virtually every house on that block. So I would like, when we see the brochure, or at least, I mean, not an actual brochure, but you know, the form that it needs to be in, that we then consider several of the other homes to maybe add and fill it in. As Steve and I have also talked, and I know Steve has brought this up several times, of online doing a virtual walking tour and go down that whole street. There are so many fascinating stories of the people who lived there. And the history, not only of Unionville, but that really ties into the entire industrial revolution that we went through on that block. And I'd hate for those stories not, you know, to be totally missed because we don't have room for them. So I'm waiting to see what Steve comes up with. I know this is a really busy time for him. And hopefully, you know, at the next meeting, maybe we can go over, maybe I'll pull out some of the more interesting stories and we can discuss that, because the people who lived there were really fascinating. So, and like us in many ways.
I was about to say, they still are.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Right?
oh absolutely.
I'm just kidding.
Actually, there's one story I didn't put in, and I keep thinking, gee, I've got to go back and do this. I have to go through all the paper I have strewn around in one of the homes, and I don't remember offhand which one. There was a divorce, and then a few years later, the woman, you know, I think went off to Cleveland, and the man married a woman who was his secretary who lived in the Highlands, which
Aha.
aha. And I just think that things like that. So, okay, these, you know, look what they did. Look at the incredible things they built, including their homes. And at the same time, they're not so different from us today.
No.
So, yeah, that kind of makes it
Great.
interesting.
So do you think you'd be ready to talk about some of the stories at the October meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. I think there's a lot of it still out on the link.
Yeah, if you, I can send out the link to everyone, but it's
Yeah.
the online for all the Unionville Historic District stuff. There's a folder called Lovely Street Walking
Yeah.
Tour, and
Yeah.
I think it's the draft 3 from May 6th was the last one.
Yeah. Oh, was that from the last one?
I
Okay.
think so. If you've got a newer one, you can up. I think.
Yeah, and
put it
I'm really
farther.
anxious. I'm really anxious to see if he's able to put in the today and some of the yesterdays. And the other thing I wanted to ask, especially if we can put in information about the congregational church there. I'm sorry, the Episcopal Church. Whether or not, if we time things, the museum can have the stained glass windows on display during that time. Because I don't know if they have all of them or just a few, but
I think there's a dozen, about a dozen.
Yeah.
Eight
Yeah.
of the larger and 4 of the smaller, I believe it.
Wow.
They're stored in our archives at the Lions Pool.
Yeah,
Great.
I
yeah.
shouldn't have told you where they were. Our
So
secret archives.
the secret archives, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're in good shape.
And then
Good.
also artifacts of the Upson company, because
Many.
half the people on that block work there, so it
Mhm.
makes it interesting.
So it sounds like, am I correct in saying that it sounds like you're interested in putting together a public program?
If
With-
we could,
Yeah,
I mean, if you
yeah,
could
that's
pull it
great.
together, I
Yeah.
have to apologize. I did not realize I was going to have lymphoma when I started this, so it's kind of like throw me
Mm.
for a loop.
Mm.
And it took months longer to put together what should have been done in 1 or 2 months, just seemed to drag on. So
It's not,
hopefully,
no,
can-
we didn't have a time frame for this, Barbara. It's just great
Yeah.
to hear that you've been enthusiastic about it and you'd like to get it out to the public.
yeah. Oh, I think
Great.
it's a fascinating area, and I think also part of putting in, for example, the church. I think people should be aware of what we lost when we did urban renewal in the area.
Yeah, yeah.
And as just kind of as an educational, how we have to think
Yeah.
about urban renewal. Not that we are not going to do it, of course we will, but how we do it and whether or not parking lots are more important than some other things. It's kind of like
Yes.
I'm thinking of the song, we took Paradise and put up 2 parking lots.
Mhm.
Interesting what we did.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
Very nice.
yeah.
I even talked to Patty Labouthier, the president of the museum, and she likes the idea of us possibly collaborating and doing
Yeah. I think that would be
an
great.
exhibit, and we could do it kind of to launch, a new historic district, and we could really include a lot of photographs and a lot of social history. A lot
They
of
have a ton of photographs there that
amazing,
more than I found.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
artifacts. Some
Yeah.
artifacts too.
Yes.
So
Yeah. That would
it'd
be
a really
great.
good educational opportunity and a way to sort of present ourselves, what we're
Mhm.
about,
Mhm.
but also
Mhm.
doing a collaborative effort, educational collaborative effort with the
Right.
museum.
Right. I never heard
But
back.
not until
at
next
all.
year. They can't handle us this year.
Right. So
Sometimes
it'd be in this, I guess we'd have to move everything to the spring. I never heard back from anyone at the hose house, so
The
Sanchez hose.
well, the town owns it, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Does
That's
the
okay.
town
Well,
own it? The town owns it? Okay.
yes. Isn't that the case? The town
Well,
does
I
own.
think it's under the fire department still.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It's,
I don't know if they outright own it or if the town just, kind of gave it
Okay.
to them or whatever, so,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so the
don't worry,
town,
we'll
the
get it.
town owns it, but Tunx's hose uses it. I believe one of the antique fire trucks is in the
Storage.
building. So
Yeah.
we had
because
been
that would
using it.
be- that
We
would
had been
be-
using it for storage at one point, but I don't believe that's the case, or at least not the storage of paper. It had been used for paper file storage at one point, and I don't believe that's the case anymore.
Well, the museum
no.
was using
Is
it for
the old
storage.
truck there?
mhm.
I believe so. I believe it comes
Really?
out for the
That would
parades.
be-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
out for the parade, for the
Right.
the
Yeah.
firemen's parade. Yeah, it comes out once a year.
Oh, well, I'll try again and see if I can, maybe I'll stop by.
Go to the firehouse.
Maybe I'll stop by
into
the
the firehouse,
firehouse
yeah.
and talk to them and say, hey, look, this is what we'd
Yeah.
like to do. That would be, yeah.
Well, and I
Martha,
think, I believe Rich Higley is the chief,
Mhm.
sorry, not captain, chief for Tunxus. So.
Yeah, yeah.
You can probably reach out to him directly, and if you need help he works
Well,
at
I've
Miss Porter's during
yeah.
the day too.
I've emailed them, and I also emailed public, PR. They have a PR email also, but
Okay.
I never heard back, so.
Well, we'll get to them, don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
well,
would
this
be-
sounds
Okay.
exciting. Are you thinking it's a next spring or a next fall?
it would
Any
be great if
thoughts?
we could do it, pull it together for the spring.
The spring?
If
Mhm.
everyone thinks yeah, we can do that.
Well, let's, at our next meeting, when we go through your material, thank you, that will be fun. Let's,
Okay.
take a look at what you'd like to do and what's involved and who we have to do work and come up with a time frame.
Okay.
I think
that's
that's
One
very
question.
exciting.
Could I have a
Yes,
question?
yes, Ann.
Barbara, I just wanted to, not to be picky or anything like that, but the word museum is spelled wrong on this picture that you've got here. So I
Episcopal,
just wanna make sure it's corrected. Maybe it's been corrected already. I don't know.
Episcopal.
I think it's
There's
referring to the
another-
black and
there's
white.
another U.
Oh, museum. Oh, got it.
Oh.
Museum. Okay.
Oh, well, my spelling is not something that you want to put on a
Well-
blackboard. No, that's quite all right.
I just wanna
Yeah,
make
we'll
sure it doesn't
correct,
get
we'll make
overlooked.
sure all the spellings are corrected.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. It's good to have a proofreader in the group.
Oh, God.
Well, this is very exciting. You've taken the walking tour and you've expanded it. I think that's wonderful to have a public element and to do a collaborative phase
Yeah,
of that with the Unionville Museum. That's great work.
I think it would be a
Keep
lot of
them
fun
busy.
and give Steve a lot of opportunity to show off all the fascinating things he knows about all the different architectural features.
Good.
No, I'm being actually serious. There's, it's just so easy to say it's this or it's that, but then to have somebody who actually points out the tall windows, the different lattice work, that makes it much more interesting. And he's really good at it, so.
That's why we have him on the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's why he's here.
You just have to
Great.
elbow me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll send the wine. You bring the
Okay.
roses, yeah.
Great. Well, we'll have an excellent meeting in October. That's wonderful.
It'd be fun.
Thank you. Is there anything that you would like anybody else on the commission to work on for the October meeting, or the two of you and maybe Ann can handle?
No, I think we have just about all the information to present at this
Great.
point. Yeah,
Good. Well, we're looking
So-
forward to it. Great.
and then, yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Unless someone, well, no, I'll go over to the
We
the
do have
firehouse
some,
and-
yeah, there's quite a bit of information
Barbara-
about the church as well in the museum. So if you're looking for that,
What did you say that was at the museum, Ann? I'm sorry, I missed that.
oh, I'm sorry. I said I think the church is just being added now, right? So if you need more information about the church, I can help you with that too. So.
The Episcopal
Because
Church.
You know that this church was built before the one in Farmington. The Farmington one was a child of our church. How about that, huh?
Oh, the Episcopal Church? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
All right, great. It's exciting things ahead. Excellent. Well, I think that concludes the walk, unless Steve or Barbara, if you have anything else to add to this discussion about the walking tour and the public program, we can wait till October and give you
Okay.
as much of the meeting as you'd like. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to the meeting or to bring in front of the commissioners this evening?
Welcome back, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Very
Great to be
glad to
back.
see you.
Welcome back.
Great to be back with all of you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be face to face soon, I promise.
Good.
Great.
In the meanwhile, enjoy the weddings.
Yes, I will. I will get all these young people married. Wonderful. Good. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the commission this evening, can I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so move.
Thank you, Barbara. A second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Anne. All in favor of adjournment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Go have dinner. Go have dinner now, and thanks for being here.
Okay.
We'll see you in October, okay?
Thank you,
Have a good
everyone.